I'll get that in before the recording starts.
He's got a lot of those.
Hey, hello and welcome to the Wednesday Workspace updates. These are the end user updates for 2 months. So we've got, because we've been on a nice summer holiday, we've got updates from July and also updates from August this time. So there are quite a few of them for the end users. So we'll just get started. Okay, so this is some of these you may have actually noticed already, since it's been 2 months. You may have actually seen these come into force, but we'll just cover them in case you weren't aware of them. So this is now sort of like, if you're using gems, these are now available in the side panel, depending on whether you're in a Google Doc you might be doing, so that you can actually use them. It's bringing the power of gems to all of the things you might use in Google. This is if you're live streaming. If you're live streaming a meet, for example, this is now allowing you more control over allowing viewers of the stream to actually send chat messages within the stream. And obviously there's host controls built into it. This is improved email notifications, as it says. So you can basically, if you're doing an email notification, you can have it take notes for you in a meet, as I'm doing as we speak. It's very, very useful, because if you have a meet with someone, and what it will do is it will summarize exactly what has been said, who said what, and it will also, at the end of the summary that you will get, it will also give you any action points and any next steps that have to be taken. Very, very useful. So this is using Gemini AI. So it's allowing you to use the power of Gemini to just create basic organizational things, like create a folder in my drive, or move this file over here, or create a presentation in this folder. So it's basically just by giving Gemini a prompt, it will allow you to have more control over your Google Drive. Very useful. So this is now all about sort of like control for file owners or shared drive managers. You've got more sort of like control over who has access to sort of sensitive information being leaked. So again, it's just more data protection control more than anything else. This is quite a good one. So this is, as you can search for embedded content on sites. So if you've got a Google site, typically if you do a search on a Google site in the past, it would just look at the text that's on that site. Now it will actually, if you do a search on a Google site, it will also look at anything that is embedded in that site. So if you've embedded a PDF, or you've embedded a slide deck or something like that, it'll find it. It'll interrogate what is embedded within that site, as well as just the text that's directly on the pages. So this is, I found this one very useful. I don't know if you've sort of like, if you've got on your personal email, or even on your school email, if you sort of like constantly get bombarded with messages from a company that you've ordered from or something like that, and they'll keep on sending you updates, kind of like saying, do you want to, the one that I had was Fish Society. I ordered something from Fish Society, and every day I get about 2 or 3 emails from them, kind of like, go, do you want another piece of haddock? It's kind of like, no, I don't. And I don't want you sending me emails anymore. So now, rather than just deleting them all the time, you can, within your Gmail, you can go in there, manage your subscription, see who is automatically pinging new emails back and forth, and automatically unsubscribe from one place, rather than having to do it from each email. So it's a very, very powerful thing, so that you're not constantly spammed. This is if you use Lucid Chat or Lucid Spark apps in Google Chat. It's now integrated. So you can see there, integrated within chat, so that you can just follow the graphic there and see exactly what it does. So this is linking your Google Calendar booking page. So if you've got a booking page, like a calendar schedule or something like that, then you can link that directly when you're composing emails in Gmail, and it tells you there how to do it. Clicking on the calendar icon at the bottom of your email draft, and you'll be able to link your booking page directly to the email rather than putting it, say, as a link at the bottom of your email footer. Google will do it that way instead. So this is just, again, it's using Gemini. A lot of the updates for the last 2 months has all been about Gemini, which is no surprise. But now if you're using iOS, if you're using an iPhone or something like that, you can use Gemini to interrogate any document or anything like that in 20 plus languages. And I don't know all the languages, but there'll be 20 plus is quite a lot. So this one is video progress bar in Google Drive. So you'll be able to, as it says there, when you hover over a newly uploaded video progress bar in Google Drive, you'll see a thumbnail preview that allows you to quickly view and navigate it to a specific part of the video. So it's just additional functionality in the viewing experience, basically, if you've got videos in Google Drive. So this one, introducing the video overviews and upgrade to the studio panel in Notebook LM. So if you're using Notebook LM, you can basically turn your document slides and charts into more engaging explainer videos that are narrated by an AI voice. So the voice is crops up a few times. The fact that the AI is now putting the power of voice into what it can do for you. And again, note at the bottom here, again, depending on your age settings within your Google Admin Console, video overviews are only available if you're over 18. So if you've got students that are marked as under 18 within your Admin Console, they won't be able to do that.
Just a quick question from me, James, if that's okay.
Yeah,
and it's not necessarily to you, it's to the whole floor. Does anybody know, one of my slight frustrations really is that when you use Notebook LM quite a lot and you're using it to create, I don't know, podcasts or something, we're kind of limited to those two voices, aren't we, at the moment, the American gentleman and the American lady. And I don't want to offend them if indeed they are even a real person. They're probably not, it's just AI. But anybody know or heard anything about when that might be expanded to be able to customize that to a wider range of voices? Because it's a great tool, but I've already heard people saying to me that they don't want to keep using those voices.
Well, it's a bit like your GPS that used to get in your car, and sometimes you could put a voice overlay on it, so that you could say, oh, is it the woman you want, or is it the man that you want? And then you could pay for Clint Eastwood's voice or Donald Trump's voice to give you directions in your car. I would imagine that that's probably going to be a spin-off, Jamie, at some point, where they'll say, do you want a celebrity voice doing this for you? And then I think
you've just given us an idea for a paid-for app.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
There is an app, it doesn't integrate with Google, but there's an app called 11 Labs that has some celebrity voices, so you can paste your text into there, and it kind of does text to voice using some celebrity voices, which is it's a nice app actually. I have heard that other voices in English are coming to this, but not being given a timescale, because I think they've been focusing on getting other languages before they increase the number of voices. But the male presenter of the audio overviews is definitely called Chad. That's all I'm going to say on that matter.
Yeah, there was talk of that, Dave. Absolutely, for different.
I like.
Oh, it's gone, Roddy. Go for it, my friend.
Quite of British.
Yeah. Absolutely,
yeah. Just on that, while we're on this particular slide as well, that video overviews, I've used it in Notebook LM. I've had let's just say, a little bit of a hit and miss experience with it. I think the podcast element is really finely tuned, and I'm really impressed with that. I think this still needs a little bit of work. I don't know if anybody else has used it. I've done it on things like slide decks, where I've put a slide deck together and then I've asked it to put a video and an overview on that. And it's not, for me at the moment, it's not quite as clean as it is on the podcast. I think the podcast is a better version at the moment, but I'm sure this is a newer edition, of course, so I'm sure it will continue to improve.
Can I carry on now, Chris?
I allow it. Yes, go for it, my friend.
Okay, so this is just an increase to limits if you've got Gemini 2.5 Pro. So students of all ages, they can prepare exams and things like that, and it's free of charge. That's only if you've got Gemini 2.5 Pro, though, and those are the things that your students can do.
Can I just ask a question about Gemini Pro, which I'm asking with good reason, because I feel like we should know the answer. And I know that me and Chris have made some inquiries, but we haven't got to an answer yet. And in the interest of the wisdom of the crowds, I just wonder if anybody on the call might have more information than we do. But our good mutual friend, Mr. Dan Fitzpatrick, put onto LinkedIn not so long ago, great news in the UK, anyone over the age of 18 now gets Gemini Pro for free. And there seems to be a bit of confusion about this, because that was news to me, but I don't know if anyone actually knows the definitive answer to this. But or are we still waiting for clarification, Chris? Because I know we have a call out on this one with our good friends at Google and wider to answer it. But
yeah, we got sort of a sort of partial answer back on it. Was like the USA, Brazil, and a couple of other countries, but we didn't see anything for the UK.
No, and the reason I'm asking is because Dan is rarely wrong. In fact,
exactly,
I've never known Dan be wrong. It'd be like if Dave was wrong on this call. I've never known Dave be wrong about anything.
I was about to say that, if before Dave gets in there, if Chris had said it, it's definitely wrong. But because Dan said it,
exactly,
he has real kudos and credibility.
Well, and I'm only mentioning it because obviously being a Google partner, we always know about these things usually. But on that particular one, I saw Dan's note and it took me by surprise. And I was like,
that link that Roddy's just put in the chat is the one that we actually got.
Yes,
and was linked by Dan originally, but our friends over at TD are helping us sort of leverage this towards the Google team just to get a definitive answer on it. Dave's got his hand up. Go for it, Dave.
This isn't just for Google personal accounts, is it, rather than Workspace? It sounds very much like it could well just be for your standard Gmail account would have access to it.
That would make sense. That might be what the distinction is, actually.
Everything that Roddy's posted there seems to align very much with that, and I've seen that with something else in the past. It's the opposite, isn't it? Of course, with your data protection, that's the thing we always put in our training, that your data is protected in Gemini using a Workspace account, but not in a personal account.
See, this is where the wisdom of the crowds works, folks, because I think that is actually probably going to prove to be the correct interpretation, but it's caused some confusion because, of course, a lot of other people think it means that all their students in university, for example, might get free Gemini Pro. So yeah, it's an interesting one, that. But yeah, I think you're probably right. Yeah,
I sounded confident even if I was wrong, which is definitely
that's what Caroline says. I do all the time when she says which direction is it, and I go this way, and she says you don't actually know, do you? But people follow you just because you sound like you know what you're doing.
That's my mantra: sometimes right, sometimes wrong, always confident.
Absolutely.
Right, I shall carry on. So this is to do with Google Meet, auto room check-in. So you can just follow the little video there. And it's basically sort of like, as it says, using the companion modes on laptops within a conference room. There's an automatic room check-in now, ultrasound proximity detection. So just another little thing when it comes to sort of like Google Meet. So this is good news. Notebook LM is now available to all education users. It's turned on by default in education domains. So I think you all know what Notebook LM is by now. So It's a good thing that it's now available to all. So this is new study tools in the Gemini app to help you learn more efficiently. So you can ask Gemini to sort of like create flashcards and study guides and integrated visuals and YouTube videos, all through Gemini. This is a good one if you're creating a quiz or something on a Google form for your class, and you've kind of like run out of what sort of questions you could ask the class. You can ask Gemini to suggest which questions you should be asking based on the subject. So that's quite a good one. You don't have to come up with the questions yourself. Gemini will come up with them for you. This one, again, I told you a lot of this was going to be Gemini. Gemini allows you now to create illustrated storybooks. So you can, select an age range and say, create a storybook for 7 to 8-year-olds and have it include this, and it will create an illustrated storybook complete with audio narration. So this is using Gemini again within Google Docs. If you're on your Android phone or an Android tablet, you can use it so that you can create documents directly from your Android device, and then save it, copy it, insert it into a document. So this is full screen for screen sharing. So this is if you're doing a presentation, it'll increase the size of it and just makes it a lot easier to see. So this is if you've got the LTI tools turned on in your domain. That's an admin thing. It's now, Notebook LM is now integrated with the Gemini LTI. So you can create, as it says there, notebooks per topic, per week, publish them, and the notebooks will have all the relevant teaching materials and act as an additional resource. Okay, so this is using AI again. So it's image editing that you can add into Google Slides and into Google Videos. So rather than, as it says there, rather than just sort of like removing a background, you can actually have the AI generate an image for your slides or your videos very easily. So this is if you're using Keep on your Android phone. So this is now just a smarter way of sorting out the notes that you have within your Google Keep, so that you can browse them in a different way. Say, I'm looking for something I put on Google Keep and I know it was last week. Well, now you can kind of like look at it and kind of like search for it by this date created, and then you'll be able to find it more easily. Or if you changed a Google Keep note a couple of weeks ago and you want to see which one it was, you'll be able to do that. So it's just an easier way of searching. So again, this is Gemini again. So it's within your Google Calendar with Gemini and Gmail on the mobile device. So if you're kind of like in an email, for example, on your mobile device, you can quickly add an event using Gemini to your calendar, making it very easy. This one is both an admin one, which I'll cover tomorrow, but it's also an end user one. So end users need to be aware of this. So this is to do with third-party apps that have not been configured by your administrator. So if someone tries to access an app, and typically it should be admins approving apps and doing a proper review of them. So now there's an approval workflow if you've got Enterprise, where if someone tries to add it, they will get that screen there, access blocked. Your admin needs to review it so that you as an administrator can look at exactly what it's doing, and then if it's a safe app to add, you can configure it in a way the admins will be informed of that, and then you will be informed if it's been approved or not. This one is a great one for, I would imagine, visually impaired students. So if you've got a document that's been shared with someone who's visually impaired, you can now have Gemini read out the contents of a document rather than the person having to read it. Could also be useful for EAL students and things like that, so that they're hearing the English language as well as reading along to it. So very useful. So this again is just another addition to chat, so that if you get loads of chat messages, or there's been responses to chats that you haven't seen or you haven't read, it's just now a quicker way of just going in there and kind of like saying, show me what I haven't read, and you'll be able to catch up on them very quickly. This one made me laugh. Arrow keys. So within Google Slides, if you've got an image, for example, or an object within a Google slide, if you tried to move it in the past, then it would move it quite a long way. So now, as it says there, if you try to nudge an object using an arrow key, it will now only move it by 1 pixel. But if you want to move it more than 1 pixel, shift an arrow key and it will move it further. But it's just a little tweak, I think. Is that a question from someone?
Yeah,
Yeah, go for it, Roddy. Yep.
Forgive my Wi-Fi. I am here. I noticed that they've done that, I think, to sync it with Vids, which did the opposite. So they've tried to make it the same. But with it has come an incidental benefit that the shadow works better in slides. So the shadow used to go a bit odd in present mode. You could find that it haloed out and was flickering, whereas now it looks much more static. So when you're trying to do essentially a sort of nice glow around a box, the shadow's working better. So nice little benefit has come with it. They've obviously copied a bit of code over from Vids.
Yep, excellent. It just made me laugh. It's kind of like, we'll move an object by a pixel. It's kind of like, really? How many people requested that, I wonder? So this is all to do with your tasks and your calendar and your Keep and conversations with Gemini Live if you're using Gemini Live. So you can see what it does there, what meetings are on your calendar for the week. Asking it. Gemini Live is basically where you just ask it, what's on my calendar, a bit like your sort of like personal home digital assistant or something like that, or upcoming tasks or overdue tasks. So it's just incorporating information across the platform. So this one again, another Gemini update, is allowing you to edit images within Gemini. So you can upload an image, or just have it generate an image and then have it change the image, change the context, the location, the details within the image. So just image editing basically within Gemini. So this one is image support to Gemini in the side panel of Google Drive. So if you've got a receipt, as it shows there in that picture, those are some of the prompts that you can put in the Gemini side panel of Google Drive and kind of like say, please summarize this image, or write a story about this image. So that could be quite interesting if you've got like a photograph or something like that. So you write me a story about this photograph. Or if you've got a complex document that you've got an image of and you just need a summary of it, or you need to extract information from it, Gemini can do it. This one I loved. This one with VO3 with Google Vids, you can upload a static image, and I've put both the images in this slide. So you can upload, like as you see there in the top, a static image of a box of coffee, and then the prompt there I put at the bottom: camera stays in focus on the bag of coffee as a woman walks into the frame holding a cup of coffee, and it generates it for you. I love that one. Again, more AI. So if you're doing so messaging and things like
Sorry,
that.
James. Sorry to interrupt. Just on that previous example, which I've played with a little bit, but one thing I haven't tested is there any restrictions? I'm assuming there is on uploading, say, an image of yourself or a person, and then giving it a prompt. And you can imagine why I'm asking this question, because given we're talking in an education context today, and I've got safeguarding on my mind, I think we're entering into a whole new era of potential issues when it comes to what is currently known as deepfake technology, but basically creating images that look real but aren't. I take it as there's some restrictions around that. I'm guessing if I tried to upload people and stuff, it would probably tell me you can't do that. I'm guessing.
There was nothing in the blog sphere about any restrictions on what you could or could not upload.
Okay, it's interesting because I mean, colleagues working actively in education on the call will know exactly where I'm coming from, because
I would imagine, though, if you're doing it within an education environment, within an education domain, there will be restrictions on what you can and cannot upload.
I have found, well, I can't help it because I'm into this sort of stuff and I've got an interest in cybersecurity. So I have found ways around things with all of these tools. So I'm not picking on VO as a specific example, but I do know how to bypass some of the checks that are in VO, and it's because if you change the language. So, for example, if you blatantly write something inappropriate, then it's quite intelligent, and it will say, "I can't generate images like that," or "I can't create that." But if you use creative language that means the same thing, but you work around it, well, actually, I've got it to do things that really it probably shouldn't. I should point out, purely for research, is what I'm getting at.
I was about to say, what's the video you've been creating, Jamie?
I'm always interested in the parameters of like technology and sort of I suppose trying to break it, because it, not because I want it to fail, but because you need to understand what its edges are to understand any unintended consequences, of course, because we as rational leaders on this call, we all obviously, generally speaking, use tools in a very rational, intelligent, a business appropriate way. But of course, the world isn't like that. And of course, when you're talking about people who might want to cause a bit of mischief, I was just curious when I saw your demonstration there of the coffee. I was just thinking, well, what if I uploaded an image of a person and asked it to change the image? And I just wondered how it works with that, but possibly something to play around with and test, I guess.
Yeah, give it a try. So this one is AI avatars in Google Video Meets. So you can generate an AI avatar if you want to use in your thing, and it'll just generate a video for you to preview. It's as simple as that. So I don't see there being much use in that in education, quite frankly, but it's just another update from their AI side. Oh, this one's good. This one is very good. So if you're making a recording of yourself, and you'll get I get transcripts from meetings and things that I've had, and I've noticed now, occasionally that I'll go quite a few times, as it says there, or you'll have a break or something like that. Now you can actually, within the Google Vid that you've created, go in and actually edit the transcript so that you don't have to re-record the entire video over again. You basically just have a new transcript, and it will then identify and trim the filler words out and any awkward pauses. So if you're doing sort of like, I would imagine from an education point of view, if you're actually filming God forbid we go into a lockdown situation again, and you have to film a lesson, and you want to sort of like smarten it up, take out any words that you shouldn't have said, you can do it within the transcript now rather than having to re-record it. So this is to do with tables within Google Sheets. I don't know how many people use tables within Google Sheets, but if you do, Gemini now can create sort of like dynamic tables. So it makes the formulae a lot easier to understand. And it just basically makes your life easier. That's it. Our next updates, these are the September updates, which have already come in, are on Wednesday, the 8th of October. So I shall stop sharing.
Thanks, James. Really useful.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks, James. That was great. I noticed your bit there on the reminders, Dave, on Keep. I think they're moving to Google Tasks, I think it is. Now, I must admit, I don't use Keep that much. Is that one of those almost unnecessary moves for you, Dave, or is it something that kind of makes sense? I know you said rather, you put a sad face in there, my friend, so I imagine it's not popular.
It's a tiny thing that just helps sometimes. We have a shared shopping list for my family, and I have a location-based reminder. So every time I drive past a supermarket on the way home, so if there's something being added to the list, it gives me a little ping to say, "Oh, you need to go and buy some milk." And it's tiny, but it's really, really helpful. And reading that they were going and moving to tasks. I'm not sure how location-based will work with that. Might work in just the same way, might not, but it's one of those little life hacks that just made things better.
Yeah. Alan, I know you've put a question in the chat space, and you've got your hand up now. Do you want to come in at this point?
Yeah, it was just a bit late to the show, but thank you. Some insightful updates there. Just with the configuration of the apps, once they've been added or configured and you want to remove them from the admin panel, does anybody know actually how to remove them, or do you just, is the only option is to remove the scope of data that they've actually got access to? There doesn't seem to be a way to delete apps from the admin console.
Are we talking third-party apps here, Alan?
Yeah.
You should be able to disable them and remove them.
No, just let you remove the scope. So I can't see an option to actually remove them entirely. They always then appear in the list.
Is it under Workspace Marketplace apps? Is that where we're talking?
Yeah, I mean,
there's an option to revoke access, and then there's an option to uninstall the app. I don't know whether that would remove it from the list, but there are two options there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Workspace Marketplace apps.
If I go into apps list and one of my apps there, on the right hand side where it says data access, there's an option to revoke access. But on the left, kind of under the second column, there's an uninstall app button. Maybe that's the area.
The recommendation when it comes to marketplace apps is it's only admin whitelist. So you should really just have marketplace apps in a whitelist that the admin sets up.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but if you've previously not had that, as maybe the case for Ellen, then you want to tidy up after yourself and do some housekeeping, don't you? So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, got it. Revoke access. I think that was somewhere else as well where it showed up.
This is a difficulty, isn't it? It's finding which one of the various places within the admin panel it's.
Yeah, because the overview doesn't always necessarily give you the overview you're looking for.
Maybe try the uninstall app button from there, see if that works.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Dave. Anything else in the run through? I know James laughed at the arrow movement, but that is
it's ace. I love that.
I'll tell you what, for me, I don't know whether it's
anybody with OCD loves that because you can get things to align properly.
You can't quite get something to line up in like if you put in a slides or something, or you put a presentation together. It's like that. Actually, I find that really useful. So it's another one of those very granular sort of changes, but it's I will find that one of the most useful things in the entire list that we have there. Big priority on Gemini again, of course. It seems to be the push at the moment, and it was, James, wasn't it, towards the the start and middle part of this year. It's been 9 out of the 10 updates are Gemini related in one form or another.
Yeah, it's pretty much Gemini is creeping into absolutely every single area of the Google ecosphere. It's sort of like their massive push, isn't it? So that's what they're seen as now. They're seen as a big, number one AI provider in the world, and they're just any sort of updates they can do. How can we integrate Gemini with this? How can we integrate Gemini with that? and it'll just keep on. It's been going on all year basically, but I think it's going to continue. So you'll have Gemini with pretty much everything that you do within the Google sphere.
It's almost as though Sundar pulled everybody off development of other projects and said, we need to be up there with Gemini.
Yep.
Which may or may not have happened. But in fairness, I spent some time yesterday with our marketing manager, and we were looking at some of the image editing features that are there now, and it's hugely impressive. He was working through an example. He took a picture of a dress, AI generated picture of a dress, an AI generated picture of a person, and asked it to put the dress on the person. And it wasn't like a paper doll where it kind of just overlays the two images. He put a background in place. He put some context. He said it's windy, blowing from there's an offshore breeze, and it actually made the shadow and the dress and the way that everything was flowing look really good. And he said, the only thing that's wrong with this is that she's walking along the beach, but there's no footprints. So again, one comment, and the footprints are in there, and it was hugely impressive as to how quickly and how easily you could put something together. You take your two things, those images that you may already have, or those things that you've generated, and you can throw them together very, very quickly now. So it is extremely powerful.
Which would in the past have taken hours.
Yeah, absolutely. And skill. And that's the other thing. It would have taken a skilled person hours, whereas now anybody can do these things.
Yeah, that's kind of. I'm sounding like I'm being a bit negative when I talk about this, but I can see all the positives and cool things we can do, but I just have some concerns about unintended consequences with this sort of technology, because when it's democratized in the hands of everybody, which includes mischief makers, and we live in a world where in seconds any of us can have our image taken and made to look quite literally like we are doing anything. I just think the law and regulators haven't even vaguely thought about this yet in terms of catching up with the technology that's just leaving them in the dust. Because like deepfake technology used to be in the realms of certain national security agencies with 3 letters, and now anybody can do it. It's going to have some interesting implications, I think. And by the way, it's already happening. So I'm not just like fear-mongering here. The cases that I've seen aren't in the UK, thankfully, so far, but it's going to happen, let's face it. But there's cases in the States where this has caused pretty serious issues, actually. Not Google technology, I might add, it was something else, but the same concept, image editing is now so powerful, and the computing power in our hands is now so powerful that we can create basically what looks like real footage, I think there could be, some pretty interesting things to get our heads around with this on the road ahead.
And that leads into our responsibility as educators, doesn't it, to speak to young people about recognizing when this is happening. Anyway, sorry. Alan's patiently been waiting with his hand up.
No, that's right. Sorry. The area that you mentioned about removing the apps, I'd found the bit that I was trying to look for earlier is under the security API controls and app access controls. It brings you up a list of applications there, which you then cannot remove.
Just having a look now to see what I can see on ours.
Security API controls, app access control, and then obviously you can configure a new app, download, bulk update. You can change the access, view the details. But once you've got one in there, it doesn't seem to let you remove it.
I think there's a quirk there. So you can obviously do the force push out of apps, but I find it curious that you can do that, but all you can do is block it the other way. You can't do a force uninstall, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I can share that if it's helpful.
That's not an auditing thing, though, is it? So you can see which apps have been used or which third parties have tried to access your data. I wonder if it's by design.
Like, for example, we were testing note taking for in person. So Screen App, obviously, we gave access to, but then removed it. But I can't actually take it off the list at all.
Yeah, from the bit I understand, you can just block it, but it'll still appear as if it was there, but they won't say it and it's blocked.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's because of the reasons Dave's just mentioned, but it is a bit odd because you can do a force push out, of course, and force install things, but you'd think you'd be able to do the same the other way, but I don't think you can.
Maybe it's one to feedback to Google.
There might be a reason for that. There probably is a good reason for that, like you were alluding to, Dave.
Just yeah, I mean, yeah, and even seeing what access it's got. It shows it's blocked because nothing's ticked. But yeah, it's yeah, little nuance.
Hmm.
Right, I'll stop recording at this point if that's all right.
Thank you.